I was privileged to be involved with the museum from the public affairs component. Something that I try to stress with the tribe is because we know our story doesn't mean that the rest of the world comprehends our story in the same way. So we have to facilitate teaching our history and teaching our story and make it as easy as possible. You know, facile comes from the French word for easy, and of course French is one of the derivative languages in Chinagwawa, like hayumasi, merci. So facile, to make it easy, and part of that is how we brand. And so you'll probably notice when you walk through, you see the logo and you see the logo repeated, and then that logo is also showcased with a tribe's emblem so that the two are always connected. Jan Looking Wolf, when he spoke tonight, and whenever he speaks about the tribe and its land and culture and about Chachalu, the tribal museum, always talks about the circle of culture and how this comes full circle. And that's part of the branding process that I try to do for the tribe, from our newspaper to our media kits to any of the publications that we do. And now the museum is a part of that, as you probably saw with the fundraising brochure that we've done, to communicate the same message, the same image, the continuity. And it's lovely because it goes back to the fact that this tribal culture has been here for tens of thousands of years, since time immemorial. So there's a continuity there, and I'm privileged to be able to help continue that story. Well, in olden times, before there was even a reservation established here, massive fires burned through the area. And whenever fire went through, and of course then later on, native people used fire as a tool to cleanse the earth for the next crop. The first plant that was a sustenance food that came back after fire, and still does, was the camas. So this place, Chachalu, means place of the burnt timber, because of the fire that had swept through here and decimated the area. And then of course the blue camas came in and bloomed, and we have camas fields all around the museum here, which is very, very exciting because it speaks about regeneration, regrowth, and sustenance and continuity. And Chachalu is what that is for this tribe as well. Sustenance, continuity, regeneration for future generations. This is very special. It's customary in tribal culture to gift in appreciation, and this is a very special gift because it's a traditional tribal necklace. And then the white, they look like beads. It's actually dentalium, and dentalium in the old days was how you judged a person's wealth. And dentalium, it's a sea creature, and when the sea creature left the shell, that's what this is, it's a shell, the natives would gather up and clean these shells. And you would see pictures of tribal elders in the old days, and chiefs and leaders with collars made of this dentalium. So it's very precious. Some of the old dentalium was huge. It's very hard to come by now. So the more dentalium you had, the greater your wealth. It was used as a currency to trade back and forth. You would see, this all, my bracelets here, not the Fitbit, but the bracelets are also made from dentalium, gifted to me by a tribal member. But you would see people would have measures on their arm, tattooed on their arm, and they would measure the dentalium for the length and the quality. The bigger than dentalium, the better and the more valuable that it was. So it's a tradition in the tribe to gift and to use traditional elements. And then of course, as explorers came, they brought beautiful beads. And these are old trade beads that they've put into this necklace. And blue, colors that were hard to come by. And then tribes traded other tribes. Tribes would come from east of the Cascades, from the plains, all the way to Willamette Falls to trade. What did you have to trade? And they brought beads that people here didn't have, and in return would get salmon or deer, but usually salmon and lamprey that they would get. So it's a little piece of history and a beautiful gift for the future. And the more necklaces you have, they say, the more friends you have. So I've got some work to do. This museum is a placeholder, not just for the tribe, but for this community and for anyone who comes to this community or goes online to learn about this community. This museum, I said earlier when I was speaking at the opening, this tribe is made up of a community of dreamers. but dreamers who hold fast to that dream and make it a reality. And that's what this museum is. The fact that people will know that there were people who've been here since time immemorial, that those people are still here, and the artifacts of yesterday are still vital components of the art and living history and cultural practices and day-to-day existence of the tribe today. And that's the wonder and the beauty of this museum. And it's not just insular, it's not just for tribal members. It's going to be a research center. We will be able to have scholars come here. We will have school children. That's my greatest dream, is in our schools now, so many of our children, and I know that as a mom when my kids were little, in 4th and 5th grade, in their social studies curriculum, they learn about the Plains Indians, the Seminoles. What about the natives right here in Western Oregon and their rich history? And the fact that those native people are still here and that native culture is still thriving and that we are a government, a sovereign government. The museum embodies all of that, not just for tribal members, but for teachers, for students, for scholars, and then the everyday visitor who's on a trip to the beach and is going to be intrigued and come in and be engaged with our story. And then the most important thing is they'll become messengers for that story. And we're going to create and cultivate a lot of messengers that will go back to their communities, be they local, statewide, national, international. It's a global community now, and we're going to be part of that messaging.